What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Coach Blac, your internet, relationship, and breakup coach. Today's topic, no contact timeline, fully explained. How long should it take to get back together? Now, one of the most common questions that I get is some variation or offshoot of this question or this idea. How long should it take to get back together? How long before no contact works? How long before they change their mind about me? And so in this video, I want to give you the most comprehensive video discussing timeline. That's going to be the core focus. Now, there's a lot of ideas surrounding this. What is no contact? How to text your ex and so on. That's not going to be the focus. There's many videos I have on this channel addressing those things. And so if we wander into some of those topics, we'll keep it surface level as far as other, adjacent topics. It's mainly going to be focused on timeline. I'm going to leave in the description a couple of videos that you should definitely check out that have a lot to do with, how your ex is feeling, 5 stages your ex goes through before they come back. Another popular video that I really like is the best no contact framework. Those are really good videos for you to delve into some of the other ideas and philosophy. But again, the focus is timeline. So without further ado, let's just jump into it. So ideally, if I look at a breakup, in my experience after coaching so many people, thousands of cases at this point, when I look at the people that are successful in attracting back their ex or getting back together, I would say on average, it shouldn't take longer than 2 to 4 months to fix things with your ex. Okay, and this is not a random number. I'll explain to you where I get 2 to 4 months, so pay attention. Very important. I promise you to add a lot of value in this video. And so when I look at a breakup from start to finish, and finish isn't the first time they reach out. Let's say finish is you're back together, you're back in a relationship, and you're both happy to be there. It should be 2 to 4 months, and I break down those 2 to 4 months in phases, 3 distinctive phases. Now let me say this, depending on the situation, depending on the breakup, especially depending on how you handle no contact and communication with your ex, that 2 to 4 months can stretch out into 4, 6, 8 months, ideally 2 to 4 months. So the first phase, and by far this is the phase that most people get stuck in, and there's never any progress and things never move forward. I call the first phase the negotiation phase. And it's as simple as this. When a relationship ends, the instant your ex walked up to you or said, hey, we need to talk, and told you that the relationship is over, instantly you lose the benefits of the relationship. You both do, right? And so in that instant, you want to be in a relationship. In most cases, if you got dumped, most of the people I talk to, you're hurt, you're broken, you're feeling a strong sense of loss, and for the most part, you want to salvage things with this person. So instantly, there's a difference in what each party wants, and so this is why it's called a negotiation. You want a relationship, love, and romance. Your ex wants something lesser than that, regardless of what they're describing it as. Maybe they say they don't want to talk to you ever again. Most people never say that. And so what I would call what they want a lot of times is friendship or some variance of a relationship with not a lot of investment on their part. So it's a negotiation. And so you instantly should go into no contact. Now, a lot of people don't. And this is what I was alluding to as to why people get stuck in negotiation, because essentially, if you don't go into no contact, for the vast majority of people, you are stuck giving your ex a lot or most of the benefits of a relationship without them investing in you. So it's a very one-sided thing. And so think about it. If you were in your ex's shoe if you got to get all of these benefits, let's put a dollar amount on it. You got to give a bank $1 and in return you get $1 million. Most people would take that offer. And so this is why some exes will stay in communication, because they are receiving a lot of emotional support. They're receiving a lot of attention and validation that boosts their ego, that makes them feel better about themselves. You know, the very fact that you're negotiating, begging them, again, makes them feel good. So if you want things to move along properly, you should be in no contact. And sometimes in negotiation, silence is part of negotiation, not saying anything. And this happens in the business world as well as it happens in your personal life. Now, here's the thing that surprises people. A lot of people expect their ex, just because they say they're done, you expect your ex to fight fair. And a lot of times they don't. So if you go into no contact, meaning you essentially take all of the benefits that you were giving your ex in the relationship and you take it away. That is what no contact is. You're saying, I don't agree with this breakup, but I respect it. I'm not going to chase you. But the same way I have no expectations of you, you can't have any expectations of me. So you take away all the benefits. What surprises people is that your ex is going to fight like hell to keep all the benefits without investing in you. Because if you think about it, why does your ex get angry? Why do they get frustrated a lot of times? They'll tell you, oh, you don't understand how this is hard for me. And, I love you so much. I care so much about you. They'll say all these things. But the one thing they won't do is to agree to get back into a relationship. You see how it's a very one-sided thing. They want you to stay in contact. They want you to be an option. They want you to make them feel safe. They want to feel like if the grass isn't greener, they can snap their fingers and you're going to be right there. So again, if you expect your ex to fight fair, if you expect them to respect your boundaries and just walk away because you're in no contact, you're kidding yourself. A lot of exes will continue to reach out to you. They'll continue to find excuses. And if you do not set a hard boundary and stay into no contact until they are willing to move over into the next phase. Now, let me give you a simple trick on how you should think about it. This is a simple way to understand when you're doing too much in the negotiation phase so that you don't make any mistake. When a relationship is over, you're no longer a team, right? But look at team as an acronym. Time, energy, attention, money. You should not be doing any of those or giving any of those to your ex for the most part. So any favors, anything that you're doing, extra text messages, phone calls, paying their bills, paying their rent, all of these things are benefits that you should not be giving to your ex. And if you're doing these things, you're going to be stuck in phase one, okay? You're no longer a team. So when they reach out to you, we've talked about the different steps. And again, I'm going to leave videos for you to refresh your memory. You should be very short, uninterested. Communication should be frustratingly difficult unless your ex is willing to move over to the next phase, which is what I would call the dating phase. So a simple way to look at this, if your ex is contacting you a lot, and they're unwilling to see you face to face in person, that tells you, again, they want the benefits without the risk, without the investment, without the commitment. And you should not participate in these. Leave those conversations. Be short, be unavailable until they are willing to get together. Okay, so we look at the dating phase. You followed all the steps. And again, I have several videos about this. The first phase, by the way, should not take longer than 1 to 2 months. For some people, it's going to be a lot quicker. But for the vast majority of exes, it's going to take some time for them to feel the pain, for them to feel the loss, and for them to start to reach out. And even when they start to reach out, a lot of times they're not ready to meet up in person, this is where the negotiation happens. So if you handle those things perfectly, you set a date and they agree, now we're in phase 2. So the way you should look at the dating phase is all of the investment. All right, all of the investment as far as moving the relationship forward should be coming from the dumper. This is very important to reset the power dynamic. I'm telling you, your ex would not have left if they did not believe that they could do better. If they did not believe that on some level they are more attractive, they have better options, and that you were not the right fit for them. Now, obviously, throughout no contact in the negotiation phase, you've done things that makes them perceive you as a more attractive person, or they wouldn't be agreeing to go on dates with you. Okay, and so you want them to be responsible for moving the relationship forward. Now, this can be tricky because we talk about the masculine and feminine. In general, ladies date this way anyway. So for the women, this should be very familiar. When you meet a new guy, for the most part, you're not asking him on dates. He's responsible for that, right? He's responsible to call you, to text you, until you get to a point where you're more comfortable with the relationship, maybe after a few dates, and then you start to initiate more. Now, for the guys, this is the only place that it's different. After a breakup, yes, you need to allow your dumper ex-girlfriend drive the relationship forward. The only change here, and I've said this before, is when they reach out to you, you take that as an opportunity to set a date. That's it. Okay? Excuse me. So again, the only job you have as the guy is when she reaches out to you, you set dates. Other than that, as far as calling, texting, initiating conversation, you allow her to initiate 100% of communication. And all you do is set dates. And at this point, she should be agreeing if you've handled phase 1 properly. And so you want her to either come, so for the guys, you want her to either come to your house or close to you. Meaning it must take you way less effort, time, and energy to meet up for these dates than it takes her. Okay? The same thing applies to the ladies. The only difference for the ladies, I wouldn't invite him over to your place. But basically, it should be costing them more to spend time with you. This is very important, and it's a part of human psychology. Basically, on some level, as human beings, we value more what we have to work for. The reason you're doing this, it's so important. And if you make mistakes, you might even go from the dating phase, you go on one date, and then now your ex changes their mind. They must be doing most of the heavy lifting, because subconsciously, as human beings, we feel like if we've put effort into acquiring something, if we've put effort into getting something, it is more valuable. The reason why this is important is that the fact that they dumped you says that they did not value you, or they did not value the relationship. That dynamic has to change. So if you get that first text message from your ex, you know, it sounds nice, it sounds sweet, and then you start chasing them, you start blowing up their phone, you start driving hours to see them, you start buying them gifts and writing them letters, look at who is doing most of the heavy lifting. Okay? That dynamic is already what cost you the relationship in the first place, because they clearly did not value you if they walked away. Okay? So I won't get too much into detail on every single step. Again, I'm going to leave links to a few videos that I think that you should watch. But before we get any further, please do me a favor, hit the like button. If you're enjoying the content so far, I really appreciate it. You for supporting, watching the video, liking in the midst of all the questions that you might be going through. As you notice, if you watch my videos, I really try to make them as valuable as possible to you, you know, the viewer, to make them as different as possible from other videos out there, because, you know, it's one thing to understand the information, but also learning how to communicate that in a way that it's helpful. You can watch this video, and when you start seeing the signs in your situation, you can say, oh, I'm in the negotiation phase. They're not agreeing to dates yet. They haven't agreed to see me in person. We're still negotiating, all right? And sometimes, especially in that phase, you have to be firmer. You have to stand up for yourself. But anyway, like I said, please do me a favor, hit the like button if you're enjoying the video. Also leave a comment and tell me that you appreciate the video. All right, let's just jump back into it. So they go on a couple of dates with you while they're initiating 100% of the communication and moving things forward. After a couple of dates, okay, I would say about three dates, you still allow them to initiate most of the communication. This is where I would say you start to match about a third, okay? You don't need to count every single text message, but roughly, you should be investing a third of whatever they're doing. All right, so we had some technical difficulties, but basically, right, after about 3 weeks, now you're initiating about a third of the time, or you're matching their energy about a third, okay? Whatever they do, you're doing about a third. You don't need to count every single thing. That's gonna take another couple weeks. After that, you should move that up a little bit to about 2/3, okay? And if you look at this split in the dating phase, if you go on 1 date a week, now I'll tell you, sometimes the pace is gonna be quicker, but if you go on 1 date per week, that should be 3, 3, 3. That's 9 weeks, okay? So roughly 2 months. Now you might be thinking, well, I mean, if we're already dating and we're getting closer, I want to rush back into a relationship. No. Most of the people that rush back into a relationship, you end up breaking up again. You need time. You need time to not only reestablish the connection, but to also show your ex, to also show your ex, that's a tongue twister, that, you know, they need to work for this on some level. And as much as you want the relationship, you're willing to slowly progress till you get to a point that you're comfortable. So by the time you're at doing about 2/3 of whatever they're doing, you know, and it's about 8 to 9 weeks, then you should be talking about commitment in relationship, which brings us to the last phase. And a lot of people don't get here. This is the relationship phase. Now, the dating phase and the negotiation phase, it could move quicker. As long as the energy is coming from your ex, then that's fine. If they are pushing forward, so for example, instead of going on 1 date a week, it might be 2 dates a week, okay? You definitely shouldn't be doing more than 2 dates a week in the beginning. So the timeline shrinks with the level of interest and desire that your ex has. Because if they're initiating most of the communication, the more they're initiating, the more they're trying to talk to you and trying to see you, you're going to be connecting a lot more. But roughly speaking, if you look at that timeline, okay, negotiation, if you were perfect in no contact, it's going to take 1 to 2 months maximum, in my experience, if you were perfect. Now, there's cases where your ex might have monkey branch, that's going to be different. If they're entertaining someone else, that's different. But if you're perfect and you negotiate properly, you stand your ground, you hold firm to your boundaries, and you don't give them any time, energy, attention, or money, and you allow them to do most of the investing, it's not going to take more than 1 to 2 months in most cases. The dating phase is going to be about 2 months. So if you look at that timeline, in an ideal scenario, if you started no contact on day 1, right after the breakup, it shouldn't take you longer than 4 months to get back together. Some people are going to move quicker than this pace, which is understandable because you miss them, you care about them. But in a lot of cases, what I see is when you rush to get back together, I'm telling you, your ex hasn't really suffered any consequences for leaving the relationship so willy-nilly. Okay, so the third phase, obviously the relationship phase. Now you should be matching each other, right? You shouldn't really be thinking like, oh, I need to let them initiate all the time. You can just go back to being normal, happy together. And, it's going to feel, there's going to be a sense of like, we worked for this. We both worked for this relationship to get to this stage. And again, if your ex ever gets to a point where they're starting to doubt or have questions, because of this arduous, timeline that they went through, I'm telling you, they're going to think long and hard before they just break up again. They'll be more willing to talk through issues. They'll be more willing to compromise, because what you've shown in the 2 to 4 months is that you're not desperate. You're willing to lose this relationship if they are. You're willing to lose this relationship if they're not willing to give you what you deserve. Hope that makes sense. Anyway, if you appreciate this video, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Again, I'm going to leave a couple of really good videos that I like that breaks down other things according to no contact, how to text, how to communicate, what to do on the first date. So definitely dive into those. And again, if you have any thoughts, comments, drop them down in the comment section below. If you want to talk to me about your situation, click the first link in description and we can talk about it. I'd be happy to help you. Thanks again for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.